bored. 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 Bored, bored, bored.
The final control point is being contested. You failed!
Moses, I'm bored. Entertain me.
Pa, I'm not your own personal entertainment hotline. Look, why don't you just go watch a movie?
Movie? A movie?
Pa?
You know, movies are a multi-sensory experience. They have to combine things like music and story, acting, sound effects to make something wholly watchable and enjoyable. Now, I'm a music nerd, so there's a lot of music-themed movies in here, but the more I look through them, I wonder what constitutes a music movie. I mean, is it a straight-up musical? Is something with a catchy song thrown in? Ah, yes, I want to watch all of these. You want to watch them with me, don't you? You like movies? Do you like music? Right, sweet. Then you're gonna love music movies. All right, where do we begin? I will start with Sound of Music. No, Phantom of the Opera. No, there's only one logical way to solve this. A democratic decision has been made. We are going with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Alright, now for the purposes of this show, I have made a list of what really constitutes a music movie. The criteria, as it were. Those criteria are, now pay attention please, the movie in question must have at least 5 songs. 1. I have a lot of movies I want to talk about, okay? The list cannot exclude that many. And what better way to start off the series than what really exemplifies a music movie, the most famous and notorious of them all, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Adapted from the stage show of a similar title, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is the very definition of a cult film, being on a near constant theatrical run since its release in 1975 and remains a mainstay of midnight showings worldwide. It's campy, creepy, catchy, and pants-wettingly funny. It might take a while for some people to warm up to it because of the overt sexual themes, but once you do, you're in for a wholly enjoyable experience with some very memorable music moments. The bizarre tone is set right from the get-go with the iconic disembodied lips, which always threw me back to the mouth logo for the Rolling Stones.
Stood still, but he told us where we stand.
A clever and self-referential song to set the tone for everything to come. The song is an homage to the multitude of sci-fi and horror movies from the past that Rocky Horror draws influence from.
Science fiction.
Wow, this gal has a really nice voice. I wonder who's singing. Richard O'Brien? No, this is clearly a female singer. I mean, Richard O'Brien is the writer and the songwriter, so clearly you've got to confuse it. It is. But it sounds like a completely different person from a completely different sex. And look at the lips. Those are not male lips. Oh, those are Patricia Quinn's lips. Thank God. Sexuality intact. The entire intro song and even the credits are an homage to the horror and sci-fi movies of yore. Almost like the opening of a serial or a cheap drive-in flick, and introducing all the main characters quickly as they're typecast, like the scientist, etc. Perhaps not the most iconic song of the film, but certainly the most memorable. You're really not allowed to call yourself a Rocky Horror fan and not have this song memorized. The story itself revolves around the misadventures of always a bridemaid, never a bride, Janet, and straight-laced Brad as he musters the courage to ask for her hand in marriage which takes us right into our full first musical number.
The river was deep, but I swam it.
Janet,
The future is ours, so let's plan it.
Janet.
So
Most all the songs in the movies are comedic, which would make this a science fiction, horror, romantic musical comedy, an often overlooked genre. It's an exceedingly clever song about Brad mustering up his courage and admitting his devotion to Janet. What makes the song so memorable is how it's punctuated with the deadpan "Janet" for every line.
let's go see the man who began it.
Janet,
When we met in his science exam it.
Janet.
Made me
Then we can clean eggs and ham it, Janet.
Now I've one thing to say, and that's damn it, Janet, I love you.
One of the many things I admire about the soundtrack is how it varies. It uses a lot of motifs from the 1950s and corny love songs, rock and roll, to the more modern heavy reverb 70s rock, to overblown and dramatic stage musical numbers. It really keeps you engrossed and it fits the action so well. Now there's always been something that confused me about this part. You see way in the background here in the wedding photo? Look. There's a towering Tim Curry who will portray Frankenfurter later on, Richard O'Brien, who's going to portray Riff Raff, and then Patricia Quinn, who portrays Magenta. They have this odd aside, and then boom! Please welcome the American Gothic backup singers! I mean, which are the real characters? Are they in disguise? Are they spying and making plans for future events? Look, even the narrator's trying to figure this shit out. So the whole story is told to us from the eyes of a criminologist, retelling us the story of what happened to Brad and Janet, simply called The Denton Affair, on that dark and stormy night, and is played by the otherworldly suave Charles Gray, who you might remember from a few of the James Bond films.
What was the bang?
It must have a blowout.
In classic goofball horror movie fashion, the only salvation to be found is, of course, a gigantic freaking castle. Really? A castle? In the middle of any town, USA? And as the laws of such movies dictate, Brad and Janet completely bypass logic and enter the grounds of Frankenstein Castle.
In the velvet darkness of the blackest night.
A quick but pleasant little tune to let us know that in fact, yes, there are lights on in the castle. Someone must be home. Our victory is assured. Now this song is actually one of my favorites. It's a little foreboding since we obviously know no good can come of their decision to go to this castle on a dark and stormy night. But it also carries a hopeful tone since they believe they found their salvation. However, it's Richard O'Brien that steals the show here for me. His lyrics here are so oddly poetic and juxtapose the happy, peppy lyrics of Brad and Janet. Believe it or not, it's a nice little touch of the normal before things all go to hell.
Hello.
We've arrived on a rather special night.
But this is but a prelude.
It's astounding. Time is fleeting.
To the weirdness. One of the most famous moments from the film, and for good reason. The Time Warp is one of the catchiest tunes in the world, and once learned, cannot be unlearned. Curious of just how to do the Time Warp? It's just a jump to the left.
With your hands on your hips. Just a jump to the left. With your hands on your hips.
One of the great things about the song is its blatant lack of meaning. It's all really just in good fun. I don't think anyone can analyze these lyrics and come out with anything too deep and meaningful. I mean, it throws in a tap dance number in the middle of it for no other reason than just to be fun and goofy, and it succeeds exceedingly well.
One of you guys know how to Madison?
from the high energy of the spectacle that is the Time Warp, we are finally introduced to the star of the show, Dr. Frank-N-Furter, played by the scenery-chewing Tim Curry.
How'd you do,
I swear, I can't imagine anyone else in the role of Dr. Frank and pulling it off. I have never seen anyone so deep in a role and having such a laugh with it. It's astounding.
Light of day, but thank God I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet trans.
Now this is Frank-N-Furter's introductory song. It's a little rock and roll ditty explaining what exactly he is, but more importantly, what he's not.
So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation.
The two are invited to remove their wet things, well, strips, and are invited up to Frank's laboratory, where the crowd is already assembled to witness Frank's great unveiling. So as an obvious homage to Dr. Frankenstein, what has Dr. Frank-N-Furter created? Some ritualistic horror? Some shambling evil that we dare not speak its name? Some foul beast that... No, it's much worse. He's invented singing Swede!
The sword of Damocles is hanging over my head.
This is a quick little tune sung by the newly born Rocky as he tries to make sense out of what the hell is going on. It even seems he knows his life is destined to suck, now that there's an effeminate man in a pearl necklace and a lab coat chasing lustfully after him all over the lab.
Well, really? That's no way to behave on your first day.
What strikes me as bizarre is that after this song, Rocky becomes a rather childlike mute with no more lines of dialogue and a completely different and naive personality.
What do you think of him?
I don't like men with too many muscles.
I didn't make him for you. If we only
Now this is a very clever song for two reasons. First, it's literal. Dr. Frank-N-Furter can, quite literally, make you a man. Chances are he won't be making it for you, rather than for himself, but the point stands.
he'll do press-ups and chin-ups, do the smirch, clean and
Second,
jerk.
it's about making Rocky more of a man?
Hard work.
Ugh.
Such strenuous living.
Well, it could be taken that he doesn't want him to be a little 90-pound weakling, and frankly, what are the odds of that happening? I mean, look at him. So he encourages him to work out, therefore making him more of a man. But it's pretty obvious Frank wants him buffed up for other reasons. Say hello to Eddie, and also hello to the big screen debut of Meat Loaf. We'll learn a little bit more about Eddie and why he's been stuck in a freezer later, but for now, all we have to know is that he's a party animal in love with motorcycles, loud music, drugs, and dry humping. After the success of Rocky Horror Picture Show, Meat Loaf went on to bigger and better things. Well, he got bigger, alright. Frank, not to be upstaged at his own party, quickly puts Eddie in his place. This is to say, several places. It's a real shame, too, because Eddie seems like such a hoot to have around.
It was a mercy killing. He had a certain naive charm, but no muscle.
The scene bookends with a little bit more of I Can Make You a Man, again swinging the focus back around to Frank-N-Furter. The guy is a complete narcissist, but at least he shares the spotlight for a little while with Rocky, but it's probably just because Rocky is his own creation and he wants to show off his new toy. The unpleasantness of the axe murder out of the way, Frank gingerly escorts Rocky to, the place where he'll be made a man? Ew.